Have you ever paused midway through your meal to stare at certain oddities in the stuff you were just about to eat? Like, do mushrooms rarely breathe out of their gills? What's the meaning behind the stamp pattern on Oreos? Also, why are there holes in Swiss cheese? And where does the missing cheese go? Well, get ready to be amazed by these strange facts that explain some of food's biggest mysteries. Number 10. Cracker holes. You may have noticed the recurring theme on most crackers. They all seem to exhibit holes, which some may perceive as a simple design element. And no, they're not an easy escape route for extra cheese dip. These are actually called docking holes, and they're placed in the dough to help prevent air bubbles from forming while the cracker is baking, so the cracker stays flat and doesn't form bubbles inside. They also decrease the chances of oil filling in the middle of the cracker and help promote better cooking in the middle. These things are more of a concern with some recipes and shapes than others, so not all crackers need docking holes. Let's just hope the name has nothing to do with the Urban Dictionary definition. Number 9. Powder on chocolate. You've probably opened a chocolate bar before and noticed the strange whitish residue on it. Sorry, addicts, that's not cocaine. It's actually called chocolate bloom, and it's caused by two things: sugar bloom, which creates a dry spotted coating, and fats bloom, which is streaky and greasy. Sugar bloom happens when sugar crystals soak up and retain moisture. This can occur during production or due to storage in humid areas. Fats bloom is caused by heat and can also be a storage issue. However, it also happens if the chocolate is improperly cooled before it's packaged. If the chocolate is injected with another type of fat that melts at a different temperature than cocoa butter, or if warm chocolate is paired with a cold filling. Let's just be glad that chocolate bloom doesn't affect flavor or make it inedible. Number 8. Pineapple internal texture and thorns. Pineapples taste sweet, but the inside has an odd texture, and the outside can be pricklier than that Tinder date you went out with once and then got ghosted. Unbeknownst to many, the inside flesh is actually a bunch of fruitlets fused together, which is why they break apart easily. It also has to do with the way pineapples grow. When they grow, they produce numerous flowers within a small space, which in turn produces the same number of fruits as for the external texture. Well, the thorns are actually wilted flowers that no longer serve a purpose, although they may discourage birds from snatching up the fruit. Here's another fun fact. They look so much like pine cones that European settlers used to call them pineapples due to this resemblance. Number 7. Red spot in eggs. If you often cook with eggs, you've probably cracked one open and seen a big red spot in it. No, the egg doesn't have a pimple. It's actually a blood spot or meat spot caused by a ruptured blood vessel during the egg's formation. Contrary to popular belief, it does not mean the egg was fertilized, just that an error occurred when the egg was formed. Candling in egg factories detect some of the red spotted eggs, and they're removed from the line, but it's impossible to catch them all, especially with brown eggs, which is why brown eggs are usually the ones with the red spots. Meanwhile, we're still working on that question about which came first, the chicken or the egg. Number 6. Blue veins in cheese. Some kinds of cheese have blue veins running through them, and no, it isn't necessarily just high-class blue-blooded cheese. It's actually because blue cheeses are produced using a mold culture called Penicillium roquefort. The mold is added to milk along with bacteria at the beginning of the cheese-making process. As the cheese ages, the mold continues to grow, and after it reaches a certain point of growth, it's considered ready for consumption. While you may not like the idea of eating mold, it actually helps give blue cheeses their distinctive flavor. If you're also wondering why some Bright Spark decided to create an eat mold-latent cheese, then, well, you're not alone, cause I wondered that too. According to legend, Roquefort was discovered when a youth eating a lunch of bread and used milk cheese abandoned his meal in a nearby cave after seeing a beautiful girl in the distance, as you do. When he returned months later, the mold had transformed his cheese into Roquefort. Why he then decided to pop it into his mouth, though, remains a mystery. Number 5. Mushroom gills. You may have noticed that on the underside of a mushroom, there's a structure like the gills on a fish. These are different from fish gills, although they look similar. Mushrooms are fruiting bodies produced by fungi, while gills help fish breathe. Mushroom gills help the mushrooms spread spores and reproduce. Spores are catapulted from the gills, moving a little horizontally, then dropping vertically. Eventually, they're picked up by air currents around the mushroom cap and carried away on the wind. No need to worry though, your mushroom isn't going to smother if you melt a piece of cheese over it. Number 4. Red stuffing in olives. It's hard to eat an olive without noticing the red stuffing. These red strips are pimientos, a type of sweet chili pepper sometimes called cherry peppers, and are stuffed inside the olives at the factory because olives have a bitter taste fresh off the vine. They're usually cured in brine, but even then, they need another flavor added to make them more palatable. Enter pimientos, which are sliced and stuffed into olives. Interestingly, in Spain, olives are more likely to be stuffed with anchovies. It seems a bit fishy to me. Number 3. Donut holes. When reaching for a donut, you might wish you still had that piece in the middle. No one knows for sure how the hole got there, but the most common story is that a sailor named Hanson Gregory invented the design because fried cakes were always doughy in the middle. There are several different versions of this story, and oddly, none of them make reference to the donut's resemblance to a lifesaver. Instead, the stories have Gregory punching a hole in the middle of his cakes before frying, so they would cook evenly, or so he could store them on the handles of the ship's wheel. It's also important to note that bagels became popular around the same time in America, and they were often sold on spokes by street vendors. It's possible that the hole was added to donuts so they could be sold the same way. The good news is that many bakeries sell donuts holes separately. Number 2. Oreo pattern. While twisting apart a delicious Oreo cookie, you may have wondered about the geometric design stamped on it. This pattern underwent several changes, with the earliest version of wreath and the word Oreo. Another featured a pair of turtle doves, but since 1952, it's been a dot with 4 triangles, radiating outward with a 2-bar cross. It's a variant on the Nabisco logo, but some believe it also resembles the Cross of Lorraine, carried by the Knights of Templar. That would mean that both the 2-bar cross and a dot with triangles are associated with the First Crusade. However, most customers today see it as a 4-leaf clover. Nabisco has never publicly stated and won't confirm who designed it. Although many people believe it was William Turnier, Nabisco will only say that he did design work for the company during that period. Number 1. Swiss cheese holes. Swiss cheese is famous for being full of holes. Yes, holes are really making a comeback in this video. The ones in Swiss cheese are commonly attributed to bacteria cultures used to process the product, but it's actually due to hay falling into the milk. Microscopically, during production, small pieces of hay fall into buckets collecting milk. Then as the milk is aged into Swiss cheese, the particles slowly create holes in the cheese. This explains why Swiss cheese now has fewer holes in it than it did many years ago. Modern milking methods keep some of the hay pieces out of the milk. Due to the moon's pockmarked appearance, historically, some people believe it was made out of Swiss cheese. It's unlikely hay has anything to do with that. So that rounds off this video. Do you know of any strange things in food we may have missed? Maybe they have an interesting explanation. Let us know in the comments below.